Okay, it is 8:05. I'm timing how long this will take so I don't take up half the class for my knitting class. Okay, this is all highlights from um, an article that I will be presenting in the class about how knitting helps with mental health. Still 8:05. Let's see how long this takes. Why would you want to take up knitting? Well, knitting is very calming. You can feel the yarn through your fingers. You can hear the click of the needles. You have the steady rhythm of your hand motions, and there's a lot of counting. It's good for self-soothe or distraction or mindfulness practice for if you're learning or have learned DBT skills. It's very good for reinforcing quite a few of those. It's a good charity option. You can make baby booties or preemie caps. Special Olympics will take scarves. Every winter, there's collection places in most states, if not all of them. So you can have that sense of paying it forward since a lot of us are on government assistance. It's good for maintaining and improving brain function. If you replace the tune-out time from watching TV or plunking around playing solitaire at the computer, if you replace that time with knitting, you can reduce your risk of mild cognitive impairment, which is, great if you're bad at Sudoku, but you don't want to lose your thinking, your critical thinking skills, and your mind's flexibility. Why knitting? Again, once the skill is learned, it is repetitive. Repetition leads to a relaxation response, which means the heart rate and blood pressure will fall, your breathing will slow, stress hormone levels will drop. It's a good alternative to traditional meditation. Not everybody is able to sit still for 3 minutes. People with PTSD or anxiety or major depression, it's just too much to be able to sit still and silent for that long. But if you do an active form of meditation, which is like just repetitive activities, um, you can focus in on it and it will calm you down and you won't feel like you're just sitting there doing nothing and then your brain wandering on to whatever horrible negative thoughts are in your head. It involves a lot of skills. Following and recognizing patterns, you have to learn new stitches. Well, eventually you learn new stitches. You do have to use both hands. So even if you are right or left-handed, it doesn't amount to anything. There's no reason to learn right-handed or left-handed knitting because in the end, you're going to use both hands and you're going to have to be good at using both hands. And after a few scarves, you're probably going to be ambidextrous when it comes to knitting. There's a lot of math involved. If there's a hat you want to make and your head is bigger or smaller than the hat in the pattern, you're going to have to learn how to figure out how many stitches per inch you make and then multiply that by the circumference of your head, the measurement around your head, so that you can get the hat to be not too loose or not too tight so it'll fit on your noggin. The activity can help improve fine motor skills, so if you have clunky hands, you eventually get pretty dexterous in your fingers. It's amazing what you can end up doing. Um, you can start out with like the biggest needles and eventually get down to these tiny little toothpick sticks and knit the tiniest fingers on your gloves or something, and it's amazing. The activity keeps your mind active and engaged, so you're not, even though it's repetitious and you're calming down, you're not completely zoning out. Because if you do, you lose count of what you're doing, and then next thing you know, you've got extra stitches, drop stitches, your pattern's all messed up. It's a very good social activity. Um, if you're just knitting alone, people will come up to you and ask about your project, so it's a good icebreaker. People will ask, what are you knitting? How long have you knit? Is that a scarf? Is that a sock? Are those mittens? That's a very cute hat, stuff like that. Knitting groups are very good. They help reinforce your skills if you have trouble. Other people can help you out. It's a great way to see how other people are doing the same project. People can knit charity projects together. They can do knit alongs, which is basically everyone does the same pattern. And it's amazing the variety of color combinations people can come up with just one pattern and how those color combinations can create completely different projects. It's really good for self-expression, again, from color choices to yarn choices, what you like to make yourself personally. Like I prefer hats and scarves and really quick projects. I like instant gratification. Other people will do blankets and stuff that take months to do. Um, it's really good, like I said earlier, for charity. It's really good for feeling like you're actually doing something with your time because you have a finished product in the end. Um, and so you feel more productive during your day, especially when you look at your finished project and it's awesome. It's also a really good distraction from physical pain. Pain originates in your brain and not in your muscles. Your brain has to pay attention to the signals in your body. And if you're lonely, bored, or depressed, you're going to feel that pain more because there's nothing to really stop you from thinking and honing in on the source of that pain. But if you're socially active and occupied, your brain is distracted enough, you don't feel that pain quite so badly. And I encourage people to read this article that I've printed out and handed out to everybody. It goes into more depth and more anecdotal evidence than what I've gone over. These are just the highlights, but I hope it convinces you to try your best at learning this craft and this skill, and hopefully we can get a really good knitting group going.